welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens. I'm the author of the Young Adult Fantasy Fury and Rising, and this is English Nerd. So I know that I made a video earlier about the new AP English Lit test based on the COVID-19 changes for 2020, but A, the sound on that video was kind of terrible, so I apologize, and B, I didn't have all the information. I had the initial information, and so I wanted to share that with you as quickly as possible. But now that we have basically all the information that we're going to have about the AP exam, I thought I would give you a much more in-depth video. This is for both students of the exam and teachers of the exam as well. You can find all this information, I believe, on College Board on the AP Central section, but I know that some people prefer to hear it and see it presented like this instead of in an email or something. So I'll be incorporating the information that AP College Board has been sending out to the teachers as well as the students and what I've learned from the I forget what you call them, teleconferences with the head of College Board. So if you have any additional questions that this doesn't answer, you can always put them down below. I have some additional resources, if you haven't found those already, about specifically writing AP level essays and things like that, but this will be more about the mechanics of the test. So without further ado, let's dive in. The AP English Literature exam is going to be on May 13th. I live in Colorado, so that's mountain time for me. That would be at noon. And then the makeup, there is a makeup date. It's in June. You can look those dates up on College Board, but really, if you're able to at all, you want to make sure to take that test on May 13th. So calculate which time zone you're in. There also are some charts on College Board just to make absolutely sure that you're at the right time, because worldwide, no matter where you are, the exam is going to begin at the same moment and end at the same moment as well. So you want to make sure that you don't miss that train. Again, there is that makeup date, but if you plan to do the makeup date instead of the initial date, then you don't leave yourself a buffer, and it's a good idea to leave yourself a buffer. So 2 days before the exam, so that is going to be on May 11th, every student will receive an e-ticket, which kind of reminds me of, old Disneyland stuff. Maybe it's not quite as exciting, but you get an e-ticket with a personalized login number. Now, that number is only good for the May exam, but even if for whatever reason, again, you miss the May exam or something goes wrong, then you still want to keep that email because it gives you information about how to who to contact in order to reschedule that test. Let's say you accidentally delete that email with your e-ticket number on it. You can actually go to My AP at College Board and you can access it there as well. These numbers are non-transferable, which I guess should go without saying, but if your friend loses theirs, then you can't just give them yours to log in because each number is individual and you will probably forfeit your right to take your own exam if you do that. So just keep that in mind. This year's AP English Literature exam will only have one question on it. That will be the prose essay question. So they'll give you a piece of prose that could be from a novel, a play, something like that, and then you'll answer the question. Again, I have some resources about how to ace AP essays. I also have another video about just some excellent essay hook ideas if you're struggling with that. So you can look those up. The test, instead of being about 3 hours long like it was in the past, this year, 2020, is just going to be about 45 minutes long. I say about because when you begin the exam, and I'll give you details leading up to that, but when you begin the exam, there will be a timer that comes up. The timer is for 50 minutes. That gives you 45 minutes to write, 5 minutes to upload and send. So you definitely do not want to spend that entire 50 minutes writing, because if you miss clicking send, then that obviously is a big deal. So 45 minutes to write this essay. A couple things about the grading process. So I asked how you could get a 5 because I got it's a great question. How do you actually ace this exam? And the answer was a little bit maybe not as clear cut as some people would like. But we all know that there are those poems and those passages that are just easier, and it's hard to pinpoint exactly why. They're easier to analyze, and then there are those that are similar but just are more difficult. So once all of the essays are in, then the College Board graders will evaluate how difficult this was. They say that they don't grade on a curve, and it's not strictly speaking a curve, but they'll evaluate how difficult it is, and from there they'll give you a 3, 4, 5, whatever it is that you'll earn. I've been assured that the scores will not be vastly different in any way from what you would normally get on the entire exam that would include the multiple choice. There's a lot of data that suggests that what you get on the prose essay is pretty much how you do on the exam as a whole on average. So also to keep things fair, I've been told that every essay will be graded by multiple people, which should hopefully put your minds at ease. They've also put a new thing in place where if a student gets below a 3, below college credit level, a 1 or a 2, the teacher can contact College Board and request to review the work. So all the teachers will be receiving the essays of all the students about a month or so after the exam is finished, so that they can look for themselves, see how students did, and use that information as a final exam or just to make sure that it was their own work. Lots of different reasons why they're doing that. But they can specifically request to review a lower score to make sure that it was graded fairly. So you as a student have a few different options for submitting this prose essay. If you're confident in your typing skills, I would suggest that you type the essay rather than handwrite it, but you have either choice. So you may either type the essay and then cut and paste the essay and into the exam. You may upload a document, so you can type in Google Docs, for instance, and then attach that file. Or option 3 is that you may handwrite the essay like you have probably been practicing in class, because that's the traditional way of taking the test. And then you can take photos of that handwritten essay and upload those. So those are your 3 options. For all of these, you will need the prose passage open, of course. The College Board recommends Chrome as the web browser, but it will also work with Firefox, it'll work with Safari, or Edge as well. But what you want to do is, and I'll explain this a little bit more in a second, what you want to do is make sure that your web browser is supports this exam before you head out into it. So you have your prose passage open on your web browser. One thing that you can't do, which you normally would be able to do for a question like this, is annotate. Well, I guess it's 2 things: annotate and copy and paste. You can't annotate the passage, and you can't copy and paste any quotations as you would normally be able to for a web source. There we go. Just because the anti-cheating software is so stringent that I think that's one of the ways that they prevent anything like that from happening. So just add in that time if you need to type out any quotations that you'll use for your essay. And you will use quotations for your essay if you want a 5. You may have multiple windows open at once. If you're typing, for instance, you'll have the prose essay on one side, and you'll probably have your Word or Google Docs or whatever it is on the other side, so that you can have an eye on the passage while you're writing. Of course, you don't need that second window if you're handwriting, but you will need the prose passage open still. When the prose passage is open, you'll be able to see a timer in the corner of the screen, and it will count down from 50 minutes. When it gets to 5 minutes left, the numbers will turn red, and that will be your signal that you should finish up your sentence, write a conclusion, and then push send. Make sure to send that off. So if you're somebody who has a slow internet connection, I don't know about you, but my internet's been kind of spotty. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so great, depending on how many people are on it, since everybody's home, basically. No need to fear. If you push send and you see the dreaded buffering symbol for a long time, and it even goes past that allotted amount of time, do not panic, do not refresh the page, just let it be, because College Board has tested out their servers to the millions. I mean, they are prepared for an enormous influx, and for some people it'll just take a little bit longer to upload, but as long as you've pushed that button in the correct amount of time, it will count as being sent on time, even if it doesn't look like it from your side, so no need to worry there. Just a note for students with accommodations, all those accommodations are still going to be in place if they are official accommodations. The only one that I'm fully aware of in terms of how it's going to be implemented is the extra time. So if you have official extra time, that will actually be added to your timer. So there's nothing additional you need to do. You don't need to apply for that. It's already on record. And so if you are going to get extra time on the written exam, then you will get extra time for this one as well. Okay, so let's say, hypothetically, here you are, you're taking the exam, it's in May, you've done everything you're supposed to do, you put your e-ticket in, you are prepared to take that exam, you're starting to write your essay, and then something goes wrong, you know, a fire alarm goes off in your apartment complex, or your sibling is crying, or you get sick, or something happens. You know, there's always someone who has some unexpected thing happen in the middle of the exam. Now, I don't expect this to be the case for most of you, but if, in the unlikely event that were to happen, or your technology crashes or something right in the middle of your test, because you know technology is out to get us that way, it's like when you're printing something at the last minute, there is, again, no need to panic. You may apply to retake the test. Now, this is only valid for after the May exam. So again, if you wait until June, that is going to prevent your buffer from being there. There's no safety net if you're taking it in June. But you can request to retake the test if you have one of those unforeseen things happen. The only request that is going to be just systematically denied by College Board is if you do not submit in time just because you lost track of time. That is the only thing that's going to be like, well, it's too bad, I'm sorry, you should have kept an eye on the time. But if you have one of those other things happen, if you feel like, wow, I was not able to focus whatsoever, something bad was going on, you know, or just unexpected, then just explain the situation to College Board and they will show you grace and they'll allow you to take that again in June. They'll send you a new number, a new e-ticket, and then you can log back on and take the test during the second testing time. Okay, so before you take the test, there are a few things that you should do. You should review your contact information, make sure that you're getting those AP emails. If you are not getting emails from AP, then you need to contact them, you need to update your email or something so that you can be sure to get that e-ticket when it comes on May 11th. Again, I'm just talking about the AP Literature exam. There are slightly different things going on for a few of the other tests, but this is the one that I know, so this is the one I'm talking about. Once you have done that, then you want to test your tech. You want to make sure that you have the right web browser. You want to make sure that the exam will actually open. So as of today, actually, May 4th, 2020, there is a practice exam that you can access on the College Board website. If you log into your AP portal there, then open up that practice exam. It's going to look just like the one on the day, with a different passage, of course, different question, but the style will be exactly the same. If you're able to open that one and everything seems to run smoothly, then you are set. If it does not, then get a new web browser, figure out what's wrong. The College Board has actually been really good about clearly saying these formats are acceptable, this technology is acceptable, and trying to make that as broad as possible, but there are still exceptions here and there, so you want to make absolutely sure that you are confident on the day that your computer or even your phone or tablet will be able to open that test. Okay, you want to gather what you need for the test as well. This goes for each of your AP exams, of course, but all of the students should receive an AP exam day checklist that's really comprehensive. It says everything from, have your e-ticket number to have the exact time and date. Don't refresh your your page. It's like a one-page place where you can check off, yes, I understand this, yes, I've done this, yes, I understand what to do in this situation, and it's a lot of peace of mind. So you want to make absolutely sure that you have that with you for the exam, and then of course 2 days before, check your email and see that you have that e-ticket number in order to access the exam on May 13th. As far as additional resources go, for exam day, you may have any class notes that you've taken. I know that you guys have been working hard in your classes, so you can have all those notes, you can have books with you. One thing that you don't want to do on the day is go searching online for different sources, because again, they have this software, this anti-cheating software that they're being pretty secretive about, but apparently the tests that they've done show that it's one of the most sophisticated that's been brought forward so far. So if you go searching for the definition of a literary term, or you go searching for that particular passage, that could actually invalidate potentially your exam. So do not go searching elsewhere on the internet. Of course, you can have your Google Docs open or something like that, but don't go browsing around for information that will help you. Instead, you can have some notes with you, have your books, but that is pretty much it. Okay, a few tips for exam day. Of course, take care of yourself as much as possible, get a good night's sleep, have some breakfast, and then log in to the exam about 30 minutes before it starts. That way you'll know that you can get in, and there will be a timer, a countdown that says how long it is until the exam begins. If you try to log in at the moment the exam starts, you could be preventing yourself from having the complete amount of time, and that's obviously no good at all. So log in about half an hour before, have your one sheet ready, the AP checklist that I mentioned, and any notes. Just have everything all set to go, including your work area. So as much as possible, try to eliminate distractions. Get rid of your phone. If you're like me, the phone it just makes me distracted like Doug from Up. It's bad. So have that thing on silent, have it in a separate room. You don't have time for that. You have 45 minutes to write this high-level, excellent essay. It's going to take all your brain power. So try to find a place that is quiet, that's distraction-free, and where you have your technology all to yourself. So prepare your environment so that when that timer gets down to the moment when you're taking the test, then you can be off to the races, your mind is sharp, you have everything with you, and even answers to any questions that might come up. The AP checklist is pretty comprehensive that way. As you're writing the essay, make sure that you are using best practices, that you're being really specific, that you're keeping in mind what a good thesis is and what good evidence is, and that your essay is not just a one-dimensional, but instead it looks at the question from a few different angles. I understand that you can use spell check and grammar check. That's fine if you're using, if you're writing in Word, for instance. But if you have a Grammarly plugin in your web browser, then the exam won't necessarily work the way it's supposed to. So disable that before you start the exam. All of this should be worked out with the practice exam that they sent out today, or that you can access today on my AP. So just double check all that. You shouldn't have any problem, but Grammarly is kind of a weird exception, so you can't use that. Once you've submitted your completed essay, you should see a little pop-up box that says your AP exam is completed. Again, it's fine if it takes a little while to load. Do not refresh anything, just leave it. But if you never see that message, then you need to contact College Board and request a makeup, or at least explain the situation to them. It should pop up, there shouldn't be any issues, but since I'm trying to be as comprehensive as possible, I figured I would bring that up too. The AP exams this year should actually be graded more quickly than they normally are. I know that in the past, the AP Lit scores have gone out in July, but that's not going to be the case this year. They're going to go out it's it's at the very end of May or the beginning of June. I mean, it's a really quick turnaround. So if you have not already done so, let the College Board know where you want those scores to be sent if you're still applying to colleges. So let them know. If you decide on any colleges after June 20th, then there is a fee associated with sending those numbers out. And if you're thinking to yourself, gosh, I don't know if one 45-minute test is enough for college credit, fear not. Every college pretty much in America has agreed to honor the scores just like they normally would, all the way up to high-level schools like Yale and Berkeley and some of these. So again, I want to put your mind at ease. You've been practicing these essays, and the AP College Board has really made a concerted effort to make this test as clear as possible. So if you have any additional questions, again, put those down below. Maybe put some comments encouraging other people. That would be great too. But I think that's it. I think that pretty much covers everything about the AP exam for 2020. All the best of luck, guys. Make sure to like this video if you like it and subscribe for more English nerdy goodness. All right.